Chisholm, Minnesota, a quiet little town tucked in the Iron Range. It's the kind of place where people wave when they drive by, where neighbors share coffee on the porch, and kids play hopscotch in the street until the sun goes down. Life there moves slowly, predictable, safe, ordinary. For the Warner family, June 14, 2003 started like any other summer Saturday. 5-year-old Leeanna, or Beaner as everyone called her, was full of energy that morning, bright-eyed, curious, always talking, always moving. She loved her dolls, her friends, and that little world of imagination that only a child can build. To her parents, she was fearless but sweet, the kind of little girl who could turn a simple walk into an adventure. That afternoon, she begged to go play with her friend just a couple blocks away. It was routine, normal. Nothing about that day felt different. But sometimes in small towns like Chisholm, the most ordinary days hide the darkest turns. June 14, 2003. A warm Saturday evening in Chisholm, the kind of early summer night when the air feels still and golden, and children's laughter echoes between the houses. That afternoon, Leeanna went to play at a friend's house just a couple of blocks from home, something she'd done countless times before. Around 5 o'clock, she told her friend she was going to head back. It wasn't far, just a short walk through a quiet neighborhood. 2 blocks, a 5-minute stroll at most. But somewhere between that front porch and her own doorstep, Leeanna disappeared. A few neighbors would later recall seeing her, a small girl in a denim skirt and a pink top, walking with the easy confidence only a child in a safe town could have. One person thought they saw her near 8th Street. Another remembered a little figure heading toward home, and then nothing. No one heard a scream. No one saw a struggle. She was there, and then she wasn't. By the time her parents realized she hadn't come home, just minutes had passed. But those few minutes were enough to change everything. In small towns, people often say, "Things like this don't happen here." But on that June evening in Chisholm, they did. When Leeanna didn't come home right away, her parents didn't panic at first. She'd done that short walk before. Maybe she stopped to pick flowers or to talk with a neighbor. But as minutes turned into half an hour and dinner sat untouched on the table, a quiet worry began to creep in. Her mother, Kaylin, stepped outside, calling her name down the street. No answer. She checked the friend's house, but Leeanna wasn't there. The streets were empty. The laughter that usually filled the neighborhood had faded into silence. Then panic hit. Within an hour, the search began. Neighbors grabbed flashlights, calling out into the growing dusk. Police arrived, combing the area street by street. Search dogs were brought in. Helicopters hovered above. And volunteers fanned out across yards, alleys, and wooded edges of town. They searched every inch. Parks, garages, even dumpsters. People left their dinners on the stove and joined the search. As the sun slipped below the horizon, Chisholm was no longer the quiet town it had been that morning. Fear had settled over every porch, every window lit through the night. Someone later said, by sunset, the town of Chisholm had changed forever. And they were right. Because after that night, no one ever looked at those 2 blocks the same way again. By nightfall, police began piecing together what little they had. There was no sign of a struggle, no footprints leading into the woods, no trace of Leeanna anywhere. It was as if the earth had swallowed her whole. At first, officers considered the simplest explanations. Maybe she'd wandered off and gotten lost. Maybe she'd fallen somewhere and couldn't call for help. But as the hours turned into days and search teams covered every inch of Chisholm, those theories began to fade. There was nothing. No clothing, no tracks, no evidence of an accident. That's when a darker possibility took hold. Abduction. Leads began to pour in. Hundreds of calls, then thousands. Over the years, investigators would chase more than 1,700 tips. Each one brought a flicker of hope and then, too often, another dead end. But one detail kept resurfacing, one that chilled everyone who heard it. Several residents mentioned seeing a man in a dark or black car around the neighborhood in the days before Leeanna disappeared. He'd been seen parked near playgrounds, driving slowly past children watching. Some said he tried to talk to kids, offering toys or candy. The description was vague, the sightings inconsistent, but the feeling was the same. Something about him didn't belong. Police released composite sketches, checked vehicle records, and questioned known offenders in the region. but no arrest ever came. The man in the black car, whoever he was, vanished as quietly as Leeanna did, and with him, maybe the truth. As the weeks passed, suspicion began to take shape. Investigators turned their attention toward the people who lived closest, because in cases like this, it's almost always someone nearby. They started by questioning local sex offenders, comparing their histories, their whereabouts, their cars. There were several living in the surrounding area, a disturbing fact that made the community's fear grow even deeper. But one by one, each was either cleared or lacked enough evidence to tie them to Leeanna's disappearance. Then came another lead, a neighbor, someone who lived just a few houses away from the Warner family. People said he had acted strangely in the days following Leeanna's disappearance. Not long after, he moved out of town without much explanation. Some locals still whisper about him, wondering if he knew more than he ever admitted. Yet, again, police could never prove a direct connection. Beyond the neighborhood, investigators also considered the possibility of a stranger, a transient or traveler passing through. Chisholm lies along roads that connect to larger highways. Could someone have spotted Leeanna walking alone and seized a fleeting opportunity? A predator who saw an open window of just a few minutes and vanished before anyone could react? Theories piled up, some logical, some desperate. Every new tip sparked hope for her family, but just as often, that hope turned to heartbreak. Officers chased sightings across state lines, followed up on lookalikes, even re-examined cases of missing children from nearby towns. Each time the same result: another door closed, another lead gone cold. The deeper they searched, the more haunting the silence became. It was as if the truth about what happened to Leeanna Warner was buried somewhere just out of reach, close enough to touch, yet forever slipping through their fingers. For Leeanna's parents, the days after her disappearance became a blur of sleepless nights, desperate prayers, and endless questions that no one could answer. Her mother, Kaylin, appeared on television, pleading for anyone who might have seen something to come forward. Her voice trembled, but her determination never wavered. In interviews, she spoke about Leeanna's laughter, her love for dolls, and the way she'd dance through the living room in her tiny pink shoes. Each memory was both a comfort and a wound, a reminder of the joy that had been stolen from their lives. Her father struggled too, but in quieter ways. He searched every patch of woods, every ditch, every back road, refusing to stop even when hope felt thin. "We just need her home," he said. "That's all that matters." As the days turned to months, the community rallied. Candlelight vigils were held in Leeanna's honor, dozens of flickering flames lighting up the night sky. Posters with her smiling face were taped to every store window and telephone pole. On anniversaries, people gathered again, holding hands, still hoping that maybe, somehow, someone would finally speak up. But each year that passed only deepened the ache of not knowing. No arrests, no breakthroughs, just silence. For her parents, the world had split into two pieces, before June 14th, 2003, and everything after. And in that divide lived an unending question: what happened to our little girl? Leeanna's name became a symbol in Chisholm, not just of loss, but of resilience. The kind of story that never fades because love, even in its grief, refuses to be forgotten. As the years went on, and the case remained frozen in uncertainty, new theories began to emerge, each more haunting than the last. Some believed the answer had always been close to home, that someone from Chisholm, someone who knew the neighborhood and the children's routines, had been watching. Perhaps it was a familiar face, someone Leeanna wouldn't have been afraid of, someone she might have trusted enough to walk up to listen to follow. Others thought she might have been lured into a car. Witnesses recalled the black vehicle seen near the playgrounds, the one that never seemed to belong. Maybe the driver offered her a toy or said he knew her parents. It would have taken only a moment, a single lapse in caution, for her to disappear without a sound. And then there were those who believed it was random. A stranger passing through, an opportunity that vanished as quickly as it appeared. Chisholm may have felt insulated, but highways connect even the quietest towns to the rest of the world. A traveler, a drifter, a predator, someone who came and went unnoticed and untraceable. Each theory has its believers. Each one brings a flicker of possibility and dread. Because behind every explanation lies the same unbearable truth. Someone, somewhere knows what happened to that little girl. And for the people of Chisholm, the question that lingers isn't just who did this, but how could something like this happen here? Theories fade, memories blur, but the unease remains. It's the kind of mystery that never really lets go. The kind that haunts not just a family, but an entire town. More than 2 decades have passed since that June evening in 2003. Yet the disappearance of Leeanna Warner remains one of Minnesota's most haunting mysteries. The case has never been officially closed, only grown colder, heavier with time. Over the years, the Chisholm Police Department has worked alongside the FBI and state investigators, re-examining files, re-interviewing witnesses, and following up on new technology and forensic methods. Each time they've hoped that modern science might uncover what human memory could not. But still, no definitive answers have surfaced. Her face continues to appear on missing children databases, on posters that fade and are replaced year after year. The image of a smiling 5-year-old girl, frozen in time, yet forever calling for recognition. In 2018, investigators once again reviewed the evidence, hoping to find something they might have missed. Tips still come in occasionally, though fewer now. Most lead nowhere, but each one is treated with care, because in cases like this, it only takes one moment of truth to change everything. For the Warner family, hope has never fully disappeared. It flickers quietly but persistently, through every vigil, every anniversary, every time her story is told again. Even after 20 years in the quiet streets of Chisholm, her absence can still be felt, in the way people glance over their shoulders, in the way parents hold their children's hands a little tighter. Because Leeanna Warner isn't just a name in a file. She's a reminder of how fragile safety can be, and how a single moment can echo for a lifetime. Somewhere out there, someone knows what happened to Leeanna Warner. Maybe it's a person who saw something small that didn't seem important at the time. Maybe it's someone who's carried a terrible secret for more than 20 years. Or maybe it's hidden in the silence of a truth too dark for words. In a town where nothing ever happens, one short walk home changed everything. Chisholm has grown quieter since that summer evening in 2003. But the memory of a little girl with bright eyes and boundless curiosity has never faded. Her story lingers in the streets, in the hearts of those who remember her laughter, in the porch lights that still flicker on as the sun sets, as if waiting for her to come home. Time moves forward, but some questions never stop echoing. What happened to Leeanna? Who took her? And why, after all these years, does no one have the answer? Because somewhere, perhaps not far from where it all began, the truth still exists. If you have any information about the disappearance of Leeanna Warner, contact local authorities or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. After 20 years, it's time for answers, and until those answers come, the mystery of Chisholm, Minnesota will remain. A wound that never healed, a story that never ended.